The greatest power in the universe is life, and it's in you. Every moment, every hour, every day, month, and year, you gain more experience, more ability, more power. Go be great.
You're listening to the Go Be Great podcast with Travis Wolf Sr., inspiring you to strive for greatness in everything, everywhere, every time.
Go be great! Great day. This is the Go Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Travis Wolf Sr., and you are great. You know what, guys? I got to ask you a question. And this is for specifically my men because, well, actually anybody, really. But how many of us feel like, no, not just men, everybody. How many of us feel like we just know? Like we know we're right. Like we know. And even though other people who think that they know, we know better than they know. Like my wife often asks for assistance, right? And not often, sometimes. She's been really independent for the past 4 or 5 years, really. But more like 6. Anyway, she asks sometimes for help, right? And I'll try to help her, and then I'll tell her, like, if you do A, B, C, eventually you'll get to Z, right? If you keep going. And sometimes she does things like, instead of doing A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z, she'll do it like C, and then like maybe J, and then do a little bit of like X in there, come back, maybe do A, maybe not, skip over A. And sometimes I'll see her running the challenges along that path, and I'm like, man, like you could have avoided all this if you would have just did it like I told you, A, B, C, D, E. I could have helped you avoid all these problems. But you know what? Somebody said to me one day, a very wise man said to me, he said, when you ask your wife to do something, right? When you give her instructions on how to do a thing, does it eventually get done? Like, does she eventually get to the goal? And I'm like, you know what? She does always come through. She does always get to the goal. And he was like, it doesn't matter how she gets there. It just matters that she gets there. I'm like, yeah, but if I tell her, I'm trying to give her directions. I'm like, you know, if you go up here, make the left, and then make another left, then make a right, and go down 2 blocks, you'll be there. And she might make a left, another left, and then a right. And before you know it, she's off the track. She's off the track that I gave her to follow. But many of us have a different path, but we usually get to our end result, right? Each person has the right to experience the path the way that they want to experience the path. And I think along that path, they'll have different experiences that'll help them to progress in their own personal life, that'll help them progress in their own personal journey. I look at where my wife is at today, and when I first met her, she was like, oh, I'm never going to drive, right? That was one of her things. She was never going to drive. And I'm like, well, if we're going to be a family, we got to help one another, and in order to help one another, I can't be taking you everywhere y'all got to go because I need to be able to, go to work and do what I got to do as well. So I need you to help us by driving so you can do it, yourself. And there was a lot of other things that she just refused to do when we first met. But as we got older and grew together, she got more and more independent. She learned how to drive right away, got her own car right away. And all the other things that I wanted her to help with, she did it. And it wasn't really in my time. It was really in her time. But she did do it. And she did have the experiences that she needed to have. And in the end, sometimes, like when she tells me she doesn't want to do a thing or she's not going to do a thing, in the end, she usually ends up doing that thing because many times it usually is the right thing for the family, but she might be resistant at first for whatever her own personal reasons are. But once she takes a step back and we're not talking about it, she revisits it and she sees that that's a good idea. So she will go about it her own way, but it usually does get done. Basically what I'm saying is that many of us out there, right, we know the way. We know how to do it. And I had the same experience with my children as well. I'll say, hey, you guys, I've been through that. Like, I know how it's going to end up. If you do that, I know what's going to happen, right? And they'll do it. They'll do the thing their own way. And then eventually they'll get to the end result. They might do it the way they want to do it. And they might have to go through some of the experiences that I had. Might have to bump their head a little bit or have an experience that might not be a preferable experience. But they eventually get to the goal. And I think that they need to have their own experience so that they can see that that may or may not be the way they want to go in the future, right? And I don't think it's our responsibility to force. I don't think it's my responsibility to force my wife to go the path that I want her to go. I don't think it's appropriate to say, hey, you got to do it A, B, C, D. I think giving her the end goal, letting her know the way I think it can work, but then allowing her to have not giving her because she already has the freedom, but allowing her to have the freedom without resistance or without me, trying to force my way. I think the responsible thing to do is to allow her to have that experience on her own and get to it how she wants to get to it, unless she asks for the assistance or the direction on exactly how to do it. My wife and I, we have a lot of experiences where we'll bump heads about things because I want her to do it a certain way and she just does not want to do it that way. And I'm like, I know if you do it this way, it's going to work. But sometimes she just got to do it her own way. And that's okay because through that experience, she ends up learning. But as long as she gets to the end result of what she was trying to get to, that's okay. And I think that's the process that we have to respect and appreciate. And I think for many of us out there who are in relationships, we don't give our significant other the space to do it on their own. And that can be the cause of a lot of arguments. We get frustrated. We can get frustrated if we allow ourselves to get frustrated because people aren't doing it the way we want them to do it. But I think just giving them that freedom and that space really, really helps them to grow in their own life. They need to have that experience, just like you. You know because you went through it. The only reason why you know is because you did it, right? You did it, you experienced it. You know if you do it like this is going to be the result. And you know what the hangups are. You know what the things that are not preferable, what those things are that might happen out on the path if you do it a certain way. So you know how to avoid them. But other people don't. So if you're trying to tell them how to do a thing, you can tell them what's out there, but you still have to allow them to have their own experience. Right. So for those of you out there who are trying to help someone who's asking for your service, asking for your help, your ideas, asking for your opinion, don't be upset if they don't go your way. Don't be upset if they hear what you say and then they go and literally do the opposite of what you said, because that's everybody's prerogative and they must have the experience. It's truly going to help them. You help them by telling them what to look out for, telling them which way to go, but they need to have that experience in order for you to truly help them. So if you want to help them, give them the route, give them the direction, ABC, give them the way you think it should go, and give them the freedom. Allow them to experience it on their own, the way they want to experience. And I promise you, you'll be happier if you can let go of that control of having them do it your way, and they'll be happier because they went through and learned and got the experience that they needed, gained that experience that's going to help them to get to where they truly want to get to in life. So that's my little tip for today. I guess it's a tip. I don't know. It's really just my experience, and hopefully you can take something from it and apply it in your life, and it might, I'm pretty sure it will make things better for you. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you like the podcast, if you like what you hear, you like what you see, if you're watching here on YouTube or wherever you're watching at social media, please share it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue to put out more content like this, continue to do the podcast. We'll never stop. So please listen, share with your friends, tell other people to join. If you're on iTunes, please leave a comment. 5-star reviews are great. 5-star reviews are great. Leave a review. We really appreciate your feedback and really appreciate you helping us grow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for listening week after week. We are truly grateful for you. We don't take you for granted. We know you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. So thank you. God bless you, and go be great.